Welcome back to Higurashi. Alright, first we have some tips to read, and then it's going to be time for things to get messy. So, let's read more from this scrapbook of Mio's. Watanagashi. The rite of Watanagashi is performed during a village festival every June, even now. But reading back to its origin turns up a seriously sanguine ceremony. Originally, Watanagashi would happen at fixed intervals, and after receiving Oyashida-sama's trust, they chose a sacrifice. Then the entire village would kidnap, or demon away, the person, and ceremonially dissect and devour them in a feast. So, it's saying this as if this is a fact that we should take as a fact. So the ceremonial dissecting of people actually did happen at some point, and that is a fact that we are working with. Or at least, that is a fact as Mio understands it. Now, can we trust her as a reliable person to gather that information? I don't know, she seems to definitely know what she's talking about, but she also seems to be a bit more biased towards the out-of-this-world explanations, you know, the more exciting explanations, whereas, if things were less exciting, she might be more inclined to, dismiss that explanation, so we have to keep that in mind as well. The rules that determined the intervals are shrouded in mystery. But it seems like she knows of documented cases where this has basically happened. So, yeah, I think we can assume for now that this is something that really happened at some point. This is because the ceremonies occurred extremely irregularly. There's a theory that it was determined based on astrological fortune-telling, but it isn't too convincing. The residents of ancient Onagafuchi village firmly believed that they were half-man, half-demon transcendents, and that they were more valuable than humans were, and they forced people within and without to accept that. Perhaps the act of kidnapping and eating people was done to prove that they were higher up on the food chain. This is just a hypothesis, but maybe the rite of Watanagashi was a political event for the purpose of being an outlet for, or outright diverting the attention of, the villagers of the isolated Onagafuchi village, in case any of their complaints or dissatisfactions grew serious. If that was the main reason these ceremonies were held, then it's easy to explain how erratic they were. I mean, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Honestly, these facts are kind of throwing out, flying in the face of a lot of my theories from earlier. It's making a lot of my speculations from before seem a lot less likely. Like the idea that there's some significance to the recurring murders, and that those might be something that people are perpetuating for a purpose. Whereas in this case, it seems like, well, actually no, because it's never, okay, never mind. I was gonna say it's never been restricted to just on the night of the Watanagashi, but that's not true, because the scrapbook did say that they would dissect people on the Watanagashi. So yeah, it does seem like the murders have gone back way before just the ones that we know about. So there may not be a real pattern to the ones that we know about. It may just line up with the ones in the past. I don't know. We'll see. The alleged importance of the implements. I can't find anything that gives a concrete description on what the ritual implements were like. They were, however, real, and there definitely existed a multitude of different kinds. Okay, so this was written before she actually went into that shed. One source states that the implements used in the Watanagashi rite alone numbered 200. The obvious question then is, Why they required such a myriad of them? So, let's just imagine for a second that we're going with my theory from before, that maybe the cotton is what they use. Then, like, cotton drifts, like, maybe there's more than 200 of those, and maybe those count as implements in this one source? I don't know. The rite of Watanagashi was to kidnap people through the demoning away, dissect them, and eat them. I believe the tools were for dissection and restraining, but 200 of them is far too many. Generally, tools evolve in such a way as to reach a solution for a certain problem. Once you've reached the ultimate goal, that is, attained a certain level of efficiency, the tool's evolution normally stops there. Regardless, why would they have created so many different kinds? One of the cultural elements responsible for diversification over time is that of entertainment. Tools used for entertainment would evolve over time and branch out. Unlike normal tools, reaching the ultimate goal would be more of a dead end, and in searching for the next goal, they would split into many different subtypes. So then, perhaps it's not a stretch to suggest that these 200-plus implements had some entertainment value. This is just a hypothesis, of course, but maybe the human dissection process was viewed as a type of entertainment. I mean, that would line up with the fact that there's like a dance involved in it and all that, but then again, like, dances can be ceremonial as well. Like, it's not necessarily just for entertainment. The three families of old would develop one new implement, or dissection tool, after another, and each was varied, novel, and attracted spectators to keep them from growing bored. It's not unimaginable. All of them have to be enshrined within that storehouse. There isn't much longer until the night of the Watanagashi. Though its original intent has been lost, I will reveal the secrets of the traditional ceremonial night within the ritual storehouse. I can't restrain my excitement. Watanagashi cannot come soon enough. Alright, so let's see what the police were doing after the Watanagashi, because it seems like maybe nothing happened. Or at least maybe nothing that they know about happened. After the festival. Late that night, tensions in the police station were strained. In the silence, many of the staff members' eyes shifted back and forth between the clock and their telephones, counting the seconds in that stifled atmosphere. Kumagaya-kun burst in with a young guy trailing behind him. Okay, this court physician is definitely going to be important. We need to keep an eye if they give him a name or anything. Like if they say Kibiyoshi, I'm going to freak out, but they probably won't even give him a voice. We'll see. I only say he's going to be important. I'm assuming that some of my theories might be correct if he is important, but if he's not, then if they don't even give him a voice or anything, then I don't know.
Kuma-chan, ちょっと話がややこしくなりました。向こうは身元の判別が非常に困難な状態だそうです。
Uh-oh. I hope it's not Shion, and then they're trying to determine whether or not it's Mion. That would be bad.
まさか4年前のあれっすか？
いいえ、こんがりといい感じだそうで。
He spoke in sportive tones, but the meaning behind his words was heavy. The staff gave a collective sigh.
頭のてっぺんから丸々？
バッチリ黒焦げだそうで、あっちの現場かわいそうだな。
I wonder if this will actually give us maybe some insight into what happened in Umineko, since there's always like one burned corpse that shows up in that. I don't know. It might give us at least some insight into how the author thinks. Cooked with no possessions, then discarded outside the prefecture. You should be able at least to tell if it's male or female. You should be able to tell how tall they were. You should be able to make a few guesses based on that. And also, the autopsy should be able to, like, take their dental records and all that. Although I don't know how advanced that would be in this time. At worst, it would have taken a week for the body to be identified. Yeah, I mean, they can do it. It's just going to take a while, which we don't necessarily have a week in this case. The fact that they'd sniffed it out tonight was huge.
今、小宮山君たちが沖宮の歯科医を根こそぎ野襲してます。カルテで歯型照合するしかないでしょう。ごめん。誰かきつめのタバコ2箱ぐらい買ってきてくれません？
The young guy answered an affirmation and darted out into the hallway.
今年は見事見つけましたね。ひょっとすると過去の失踪者もこんな感じで県外で殺されてたんすかね。
なら埋めればいいじゃないですか。重りつけて日本海でも琵琶湖でもいいですね。
Okay, so they found the person who supposedly is supposed to disappear, but does that mean somebody else also died? Somebody who was not burned to a crisp? We'll see.
でもどうして一人死んで一人消えるのがこれまでのパターンじゃないですか。
Also, it's interesting that they know this pattern. Like, but when, what's his face? When Oishi was talking to Keiichi last time on the phone, he was acting as if he didn't know this pattern, as if Keiichi had just brought it to his attention. And I don't know, again, that's like things Oishi is doing that are kind of rubbing me the wrong way.
クマちゃん、仏は拘束なしでドラム缶の中でこんがりでしょ。多分締められた後にわざわざ焼いたんじゃないかと思うんですよ。見つかることを覚悟の上でです。
じゃあつまり今年は消す気は初めからなかったってことっすか？
Well, we don't know that nobody's disappeared.
消す気がないってよりは、これはそれとは全く別のものでしょうね。消すどころか主張しているようにすら感じられますよ。
Wait a second. So maybe it is actually there are two victims, and one of them is obvious, but the other one they don't know who it is. And because they wouldn't be talking like this if like there was just one victim that one person who died, and that's the only person. I don't know, the only victim.
つまり見せしめの意味があるってことっすか？
Because they could say, like, well, there's still a chance that somebody disappeared, but if the fact that somebody already died and they already know who it is, if that's the case, then that would definitely make it seem like, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now. He folded his arms and then heaved a long and heavy sigh.
それをしないでやってくれりゃ、その線もあるんですがね。こんな遠くまで運んで焼いちゃったら、下手したらわかんないでしょう。見せしめにするなら、ひなみ沢の近くでやるべきなんですよ。
Okay, so wait, what did they say? They said that it was... Hold on. Yeah, scattered outside the prefecture. So they could have been anywhere. I don't know. But probably they're close to the border of the prefecture. Because how else would they, like, get outside of it? Especially that quickly in one night.
殺したことを主張したいのに、場所は演出効果の確実じゃない遠方。主張したいのか隠したいのか。今年は何考えてるのかな、お社様は。
A telephone ring cut through the heavy silence. A staff member nearby snatched up the receiver.
小宮山さんです。出ました。沖宮のデンタルクリニックで3年前に親知らずの治療をしてます。
Okay, so it's somebody who has had their wisdom teeth, which means it's probably going to be either Mio or Tomitake.
カルテは
In fact, it's probably not going to be Tomitake because they didn't have any records on him. So it's probably going to end up being Mio then.
レントゲン付きでバッチリと。
いやー、こんな明け方前に歯医者さんには申し訳ないな。クマちゃん、小宮山君からカルテ受け取ったらすぐに。
了解っす。あ、課長です。夜分お疲れ様です。
大石さん、遅くなって申し訳ない。状況は？
やっと面白くなってきたってとこですかね。燃えてきたぞー。わお。
Alright. Well then, so much for, like, nothing happened. But we're still not clear exactly what happened. Like, that might have only been a small part of what happened. We still don't know how many victims there were or what. We'll see. But anyway. Let's just keep going. I let out a great big yawn. It was like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. As Mom set up breakfast, she gave me a pained smile.
どうしたの、ケイチ。昨夜は何時に寝たの
？12時には寝たつもりだけど、昨日はなんだか寝つきが悪くてさ。
お祭りではしゃぎすぎて興奮して眠れなかったんでしょ。
違うよ。
I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. After all that happened yesterday, and our discussion about the sound Shion heard, that banging noise like a child far away jumping up and down on a wooden floor, we still don't know where Satoko is, do we? I don't think we've seen her since last night, so that's gonna be something to keep in mind. The story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night, and I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unhearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up to the morning sunlight and birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning.
ケイチ君、おはよう。あれ？ケイチ君、目が真っ赤だよ。どうしてだろう。
おはよう。どういうわけか寝つきが悪くてな。そんなわけで今日は寝不足だ。
昨日のお祭りは楽しかったね。レナも興奮がなかなか冷めなくて、なかなか寝れなかったんだよ。
Also, I haven't forgotten that they still haven't settled that club activity from earlier, which they made a big deal out of. There still hasn't been any penalty for that either, which, so, like, that's gonna come up at a time when we don't want it to. I know that this author doesn't just, like, leave those things hanging. In Rena's case, her excitement seemed to still be wide awake.
こういうお祭りが何度もあればいいのにね。またみんなで大盛り上がり。はう？
まあ、そうだな。
Rena talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten from last night. The inside of the ritual storehouse had been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san had told me, too. The mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year. The strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying traditions of Onigafuchi village. The villagers with demon blood in them. The terrible cannibalistic feasts. The forced sacrifices kidnapped from human villages, victims of the Onikakushi. To quell the rage of Yashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There were also many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either, they were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real, though. since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago.
みーちゃん遅いね。
Before I realized it, we had arrived at the place where we'd usually meet with Mion. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign. Probably because I was so lost in thought.
この時間になっても来ないときは先に行ってもいい約束になってるんだけど、どうする？
Mion being late wasn't too rare an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few of the ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year and who would disappear? It couldn't have been Mion. I have a feeling that this is something where we're gonna see, or we're gonna get reassured about this, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's actually gonna be Mion who we see. It could actually be Shion who we see, so we'll have to keep that in mind.
どうするかな、ケイチ君。もう行かないと遅刻になっちゃうかも。
来るよ。学校休むって電話があったわけじゃないだろ。もう5分待ってみようぜ。な。
Rena looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then she nodded with a satisfied smile. If we had to wait 5 minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Mion running towards us out of breath.
遅い遅い。待っててくれたわけ？先に行っちゃってもよかったのに。
Mion was breathing heavily and her face was all red. Her house was right down this road, wasn't it? It wasn't far enough away for her to end up like this, was it?
みーちゃん、ひょっとして具合悪くない？
Huh. Now that she mentioned it. Rena pushed Mion's bangs away and put her hand to her forehead.
レナの手、冷たいな。みーちゃん、ちょっとだけど熱あるよ。そんな大したことないよ。半日もすればケロッと治っちゃうって。
本当に大丈夫かよ。あまり無理するなよ。
Just based on how she's talking, like the inflections in her voice, I almost feel like this could be Shion, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
あれ？ケイちゃん、気遣ってくれるの？嬉しいな。
And that answer wasn't like Mion at all. She must have had it pretty bad.
無理しない方がいいと思うな。先生にはお休みだって伝えとくよ。大丈夫大丈夫。風邪薬も飲んだし、すぐに効いてくると思うから。
Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at
じ
us.
ゃあ行こうか。くれぐれも無理するなよ。って言いながら時間。
The thing is, if we're going with the whole Oyashido angle, I think there's zero chance that Mion would ever be chosen as a sacrifice for that. If anybody would be somebody who angered Oyashido, it would be Shion. So I don't think that Mion is even like a valid victim in this.
走らないと間に合わない。スリリングな朝になっちゃったね。鈍った体にはちょうどいい価値かもね。走ろ。
Hey, wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
みーちゃんだって最上級生だよ。自分の体のことは自分で一番よくわかってるよ。
I decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine.
よし、俺たちも行こうぜ。
We began to run after Mion. School looked the same as always. The hours passed listlessly, and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be world champion right now. The trick to overcoming this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Why, you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. If you were holding your pencil upside down, that wouldn't happen, would it? Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times.
何しやがるサトコ。
私は何もしてないでございますわ。
お前以外にこんないたずら誰がするんだよ。消しゴムじゃなくてチョークか。え？
Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold razors, was the teacher's shadow, holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Oh god, she really is doing the whole, what do you call it? The whole Tsukihime cell thing, or CL thing. Like someone mentioned how she's apparently an homage to that character, which totally makes sense. But yeah, she's like holding the chalk, like some black keys and all that. Like, it's very, very, very overt.
前原くん、お顔を洗ってらっしゃい。
はい。喜んで。
That alone was enough to wake me up, but I flew out into the hallway as if shoved out by the pressure exuded by the teacher's sheer power. If I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. Alright, so what are you gonna stumble upon now? The sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. I don't know, June is pretty... I don't know, you'd think it was June if the sunlight's strong, but then again, the seasons might be a bit different over where that place is. I turned the faucet, and with a lifeless, bubbling noise, lukewarm water came pouring out. If I let it run for a few moments, would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a little while.
やっぱケイちゃんはこっちの流しを選んだか。表の方が気分いいもんね。
ミオンか。授業サボるなよな。
I stuck my hands into the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it against my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way, and Mion did the same.
具合の方はいいのかよ。眠いのは寝不足じゃなくて薬の副作用なんだろ。
実は内緒なんだけど、昨日はお祭りの後で親族の宴会に巻き込まれちゃってさ。
Alright, well that's an alibi in theory, except that it's not actually an alibi, because we know that literally this entire village would bend over backwards to create an alibi for her, so that means nothing, really, in the grand scheme of things.
それで、実はエンドレスに突入しちゃって。
A bit. I'm guessing she means alcohol. She made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth. Which means you didn't have a cold or anything.
本当に寝不足なのかよ。徹夜明けならそうと言え、紛らわしい。
勘弁してよ。体調が悪いのは本当なんだからさ。
I suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Still, you treat colds and hangovers in completely different ways.
心配して損したぞ。たく、ミオンらしいというかなんというか。
Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now that I knew it was a hangover, I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away with time, after all.
でも頭がガンガンするのは本当。だからさ、さっき先生に早退していいって言われちゃった。
ずるいやつ。じゃあミオンはもうこれで帰りなのか？
Now that I looked again, Mion had her bag with her. She must have been on her way home.
申し訳ないけどね。今日は家でおとなしく寝させてもらうわ。部活できなくて申し訳ないね。今日はケイちゃんがリーダーってことでやってくれない？
多分無理だと思うぜ。俺たち部活は全員揃った時しかやらないっていう暗黙の了解があるだろう。ミオンがバイトに行ってる時はいつもそのままお開きだったんだぜ。
Mion laughed wryly, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who can't share in it is the sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club Mion has created is a wonderful thing. And the fact that she just told him to take over as leader for her kind of makes me think that she's kind of like, maybe like mentally done with that, almost. As I thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. I suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I could get in trouble.
俺は教室に戻るぜ。帰りは気をつけろよ。ふらふらして側溝や用水路に落ちるなよ。
I left it at that, turned around, and started heading back to the classroom.
そうそう、ケイちゃん。
And here's where I have a feeling that we might see like the eye transformation and everything. Just like, by the way, where were you last night, Keiichi? Like, Mion stopped me and I turned my head to listen. Like, why else would she want to like meet him alone in this secluded place?
なんだ？
変なこと聞くけど、深く考えないで答えてね。
それは内容によりけりだな。
昨日の綿流しの晩さ、富武さんと高野さんに会わなかった？
Yeah. So she doesn't know that it was necessarily him who was there, but she does know that they were there. And she may also know that they were both missing. So, we'll see. I suddenly tensed up.
富武さんと高野さんはわかるよね。ほら、ケイちゃん、お祭りの前日準備の時、シオンと一緒に4人でお話ししてたでしょ？
If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the storehouse that night as soon as possible. But I almost wonder if Mion's like asking him so frankly about it that maybe he should actually tell her. I don't know. I think if it were me, I would probably tell her, but I would also be like scared as hell to do so. But then again, the Watanagashi is over, so So hearing the names of the people I was with at the time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking me a question like that? I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I had seen them or not, or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell.
さあ、どうかな。あったような、合わなかったような。
My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There was no way for me to know.
そう。じゃあもう一つ質問ね。同じく昨べ、シオンに会わなかった？
My heart leapt into my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me.
それ、昨日も聞いたよな。俺、会ったかどうかわからないって答えたと思ったぜ。
そうだっけ？また改めて聞いたら違う答えが返ってくるかなって思ってさ。
So she's doing the eye thing, but her voice hasn't really changed at all there. I suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes, something indescribable. Tomitake-san and Takano-san. Shion, too. She was asking me about them. There was no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? It's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. And that rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. It was nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen that momentary light and come to find out what was going on.
本当に会ってないんだね。
どうして会ったかどうかをそんなに気にするんだよ。
大したことじゃないの。富武さんと高野さんと悪く言ってる人たちがいるの。
So basically She's a little concerned about Keiji because all of her relatives and all that are now speaking badly about them.
何が悪いんだかはよく聞いてないんだけどね。
Well, I think she heard exactly what they were saying, but she's still concerned about him. Unpleasant sweat dripped down my arms, and the sound of it hanging from my fingertips was so annoyingly loud.
私、ケイちゃんが悪いことをするなんて信じてないから。でも、ちょっとだけ聞いてみたかったから聞いてみたの。不愉快な思いをさせてごめんね。
I found myself unable to reply. It's weird. I think that Mion's transformation is the most... It's different, very, very different from Rena's, in that she doesn't become like a completely different person when she transforms like that. Rather, I feel like she's still Mion inside, whereas Rena feels like she's unearthing an entirely like different persona when that happens. So, My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was, and yet I couldn't explain myself.
ケイちゃんは富武さんとも高野さんとも、そしてシオンとも一緒じゃなかった。そうだよね。
I finally wrung out an answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little.
よかった。私言っとくね。ケイちゃんは何にも悪いことには加わってないって。みんなにちゃんと言っておくからね。
Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone, make sure. Everyone. Who is everyone?
じゃあね。明日は元気になってるから。
I think it literally means everyone, like everyone in the village.
バイバイ。
Wait, Mion. What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. That's gonna be the teacher?
ほら、遅いですよ、前原くん。顔を洗うだけなのに時間がかかりすぎです。
It was the teacher. I was taking so long that she came out to get me.
すみません。ついミオンとおしゃべりを。
I turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it and was now standing at the gate.
さあ、お勉強に戻りますよ。早く早く。
The teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. I looked back one more time, and Mion was nowhere in sight.
Keiichi, 今日はずっと元気がないのです。昨日大はしゃぎしすぎたからに違いありませんわ。
迷子になって目を真っ赤にさせて半泣きしてたやつに言われたくねえ。
Okay, so they did find her last night.
ゆうべのさとこちゃん、かわいかったよ。はう。
My friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? Had I really done something that terrible last night? It's not like you even wanted to, but I don't think that really matters. These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day.
じゃあね、ケイチくん。また明日ね。
By the time I realized that I was in front of my own house,
みーちゃんも風邪だったみたいだけど、ひょっとしてケイチくんもなのかな
大丈夫だよ。こう見えても風邪で休んだことはないんだぜ。
でも、みーちゃんもケイチくんも今日は具合が悪そうだし。
気にしてくれてありがとな。大丈夫。バカは風邪ひかないんだぜ。
Rena smiled, then waved to me and left. With my shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavily, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me.
何？
ケイチ、悪いんだけど図書館に行って本を返してきてくれない？
Uh-oh. The library seems like a place where he might actually, stumble upon some books that he shouldn't be reading and stuff. And people seeing him go to the library would be bad in the situation. I don't know.
めんどくさいな。
お父さんも母さんも今ね、ちょっと電話待ちをしてるところで家を開けられないの。返却期限も今日までだし、お願いできない？
Sheesh. Did it have to do with Dad's job? Yeah, the pressure has already started, it seems. Literally, as soon as the Watanagashi begins, everybody starts, or ends, I guess, and all that happens. Everybody starts, like, putting pressure on Keiichi's family, even if it's just with his higher-ups at his job and stuff. No point in arguing if they bring that up.
仕方ないな。でも俺、図書館がどこにあるか知らないよ。
あら、知らないの？沖宮の駅前をちょっと進んで。
Just then, the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the
もし
receiver.
もし、前原です。はい？はい、おりますけど。
Then she thrust the receiver at my
圭
face.
一に電話よ。早めに終わらせてね。
I tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be
もし
faster.
もし。
園崎の妹の方です。
So she's still around. Although this could also be Mion.
こんにちは。今はお時間大丈夫ですか？
It was Shion. He should say, like, the response to that should be, no, I don't have time, my parents are waiting for a call. The older sister had a hangover today, but the younger made no reference to
シ
it.
オンか。ミオンと同じで、今日は徹夜明けで寝込んでるんじゃないかと思ったぜ。
それじゃあおねおねらしい。
She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up.
あ、ごめんな。ちょっと親が電話待ちをしてるんで、そんなに長話はできないんだ。何の用だ？
お話ししたいことがあったんですけど、長電話が無理じゃ仕方ないですね。
She sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk to me about? Now I was
じ
interested.
ゃあさ、会って話をしないか？ついでに図書館にも案内してもらえるとありがたい。
図書館って駅前の私立図書館ですか？別にいいですよ。バイトのついでってことで。
じゃあ、いつもミオンと待ち合わせてる場所わかるか？園崎家の小道に分かれる分岐の。
ケイちゃん、言ってませんでしたっけ？私、本家じゃなくて沖宮の家に住んでるんですよ。だから待ち合わせ場所は沖宮駅の改札前なんかにしてくれた方が嬉しいんですけど。
Okay, so she says I don't live at the main house, like the main house being the one where Mion's grandmother lives for some reason. But you'd think the main house would be the one where her parents live, but that's not the case. So that's weird. Makes me think that her parents might not be, like, maybe Mion's grandmother is the orthodox, like, Hinamizawa fanatic, whereas her parents are a bit more on the I don't know, just a bit more skeptical of all that. Main house. Living in Okinomiya. Now that she mentioned it, it's always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. Did they live in different houses? Also, now that she mentioned it, Reina said she'd never met the younger sister despite going over to play
じ
sometimes.
ゃあ、駅に集合な。すぐに行くよ。じゃあ。
I set the receiver down, and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies.
圭一、よろしくね。お夕飯までには帰るのよ。
じゃあ行ってくれよ。
I suppose I changed my clothes and grabbed my bike key. I climbed the stairs to my bedroom. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth
ミオ
process.
ンと違って、シオンは待ち合わせ時間を守るな。しみじみ。
おねんを標準にされるといろいろと困ります。
Shion seemed a little unsteady, too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she?
お前も夕べは寝てないんだろ？隠しても無駄だぞ。で、学校を早退したに違いない。
残念でした。私はそもそも今日はずる休みしてますので。 私お姉より容量いいですから。
Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter.
じゃあ先に用事を片付けます。時間もそんなにないですから。図書館へ行くんですよね。
ああ、頼むよ。お袋の借りてる本の返却期限が今日までらしいんで。図書館は遠いのか？
すぐ近くですよ。
As she said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. If it was this easy to find, then I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. We rode around a bend, and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. The first floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor, but it looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. Alright, so it's a government office. That means that the Sonozakis are very, very much, they have ears here, so anything he says here, we can assume that they're going to be listening. We passed through the automatic doors and were greeted by the cool breeze of an air curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mildewy smell unique to old paper. If there was one difference, it was that people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory. The librarian went through the process of checking them in, then returned my mom's library card. Shion was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to the libraries very often.
図書館って涼しくていいところですね。私、将来は図書館で働きたいです。
地味というか堅実というか、姉と比べると随分とささやかな希望だな。
Mion would definitely want to be a hard-working employee for an international trading company, or some other crazy job that involved her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming.
まあ、互いの持ち味を大切にしたいですよね。私たち分身じゃなくてシオンとミオンというちゃんとした個人なんですから。
双子は双子なりにいろいろと考えてるんだな。でも楽しそうだよな。俺には兄弟はいないから、うちには俺以外は親しかいない。窮屈なもんだよ。
私だってそうです。お姉とは一緒に住んでるわけじゃないですから。
Oh, right, she said something like that, didn't she? Why, though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to the lounge area, which was vacant, and continuing the conversation.
え、お姉は本家に、私は沖宮の家に住んでるんです。
本家ってなんだ？随分と立派な響きがあるけどな。
本家は本家です。園崎家の本家。お姉は跡取りだから、バッチャと一緒に住んで、いろいろと当主としての修行をさせられてるみたいです。
Well, I guess that explains that. Mion, the head of the family. I have to wonder, though, if Shion kind of resents Mion at all for that. I feel like she might wish that she was the successor, maybe. It kind of fit her personality, but kind of didn't, too.
ケイちゃんは引っ越してきたばかりでしたよね。自分で言うのもなんですけど、園崎家ってここいらじゃ結構名士なんですよ。
え、本当かよ。
The word personage didn't match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. I don't know if that's personage or personnage, but... From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wide area.
園崎家はですね、親族全体で助け合う土壌があるんです。今の当主のバッチャが築き上げたんですけどね。
The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge, living company. This let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed one after another using large amounts of money.
沖宮の街を歩くことがあったら看板とかを意識してみてください。園崎の親族が経営しているお店ってとても多いんですよ。
Probably including this one.
言われてみれば例のおもちゃ屋も親類の人が経営してるみたいだったな。そういえばエンジェルモートも親類の人が経営してるんじゃないのか？
I mean, I thought he already knew this, but even what few shops I was familiar with were involved with the Sonozaki family. It was definitely surprising.
特に金融不動産関係は強いですね。あと商工会議所の役員も何割かは園崎姓かその親類がついてます。沖宮一帯を評伝に市議会議員と県議会議員にも園崎がいますし。
ちょっと待て。なんだかすごい話になってきたぞ。
Her relatives operate shops in downtown Okinomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate. On top of that, a lot of those in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives, and there are even people elected to local
ひょっ
offices.
として園崎家ってこの辺り一帯じゃすごいんじゃ。
That's an understatement.
ねえ。
Oh boy, Oishi. I wonder how Shion feels about Oishi. We know that Mion absolutely hates him, but maybe Shion doesn't necessarily hate him quite as much, just based on what we know of her. Let's see.
すごいんです。
All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy.
どうも、こんにちは。今日はデートですかな？羨ましいですね。
そうだと思ったら邪魔しないでほしかったですね。大石さん。
That was it. He was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Although really, he was coming to the delinquents' rescue, not yours. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much.
いえいえ、すみません。知ってる声が聞こえてきたのでついつい。
Oishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any sign of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I had from Mion.
前原さんでしたよね。あなたもタフな人ですね。園崎姉妹を二股かけるなんて。
いや、そんな二股だなんて。
I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock.
ごめんなさい、ケイちゃん。私もうバイトの時間なんです。
そうなのか？
Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Yeah, but not with Oishi around. Now this weird man is here, though.
また今度。バイトが終わったら電話します。
Although we have to assume that the call is going to be listened in on, so...
夜なら電話大丈夫ですよね。
ああ、大丈夫だと思う。
じゃあ今夜電話しますので、じゃあ。
Shion left so fast she was practically running. Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. Let's not hang out with him too much. I felt like I'd been left here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work.
園崎のご令嬢とこれだけ親しくできるなんて、私も口の利き方を改めた方がいいかもしれません。
Oishi-san put a coin into the vending machine as he said something a bit appalling.
アイスティーでいいですか？ミルクは入れます？
いえ。
じゃあ入れますよ。はいどうぞ。
He handed me a cup of tea filled to the rim with ice as I looked on absent-mindedly. Do you want milk in it? No, Okay, I'll put milk in it then. Okay. That's just Oishi, I guess. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but... He did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Oishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought back to how I talked with Shion, it seemed like a total disaster.
前原さんは園崎さんのことをどれくらいご存知で？
さっき聞いた以上のことは何も。
Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family.
園崎家はこの地域一帯を牛耳ってる。ちなみに彼女のお父さんは関東でも有名な暴力団グループの大幹部さんです。ご存知でした？
I mean, it's believable.
大幹部って。
シオンさんの自宅をご存知ないんですか？高い塀に有刺鉄線と監視カメラで守られた典型的な暴力団の組長宅ですよ。今度ぜひ遊びに行ってみてください。
She'd mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a Yakuza group. But I feel like the reason he's doing this is... I don't know why he's doing this, but he's trying to, like, throw a wedge between Keiichi and the Sonozakis for some reason. Maybe he's just trying to, like... I don't know. Throw a ball, like a ball, and see what sticks. I don't know, like... It seems like he's just kind of trying to shake things up so that he can get any information that he can out of this, but... It's not going to end well for Keiichi.
いえいえいえいえ、まさかまさか園崎美音さんが継ぐのはそんなちんけな暴力団組織だけじゃありません。彼女が継ぐのは園崎家そのものですよ。そのあたりの意味ちょっと噛み締めていただけますかな。
Oishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable.
ミオンさんがその気になれば、往来の真ん中で人殺しをしたってもみ消せちゃうかもしれないんですよ。証人は現れないだろうし、警察にだって圧力をかけられますし。
ミオンは人殺しなんかしないぞ。
しませんしません、ものの例えですよ。
大石さんでしたっけ、名前。ね
え、そうです。
大石さん、ミオンの家が何だろうと、ミオンは俺の誇れる最高の友人です。それをあまりけなすような言い方、好きになれないですね。
I let my quiet anger show through in my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect.
ではざっくばらんに、そのミオンさんにいくつかの事件の嫌疑がかかっているとしたらどう思います？
Suspected incidents. You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim.
何かの誤解に決まってるじゃないですか。ミオンは物騒なことを言うやつだけど、そんな悪いことをするようなやつじゃない。
前原さん、お静かにお静かに。ここ図書館ですから。
Oishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calmed so easily.
落ち着いてください。さっきも申し上げました通り、園崎家はいい意味でも悪い意味でもこの辺り一帯で強い力を持っているんです。ですから、ちょっと何かあるとすぐに疑いがかかってしまう。その辺りをご理解いただきたいのですよ。
Of course, now we're really falling into Oishi's pace here. Well, I know what Oishi is trying to say. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is its successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her? Well, not the only reason, but it's a good one.
ですから、私だって仕事で仕方なくやってるんです。ミオンさんを疑うためでなく、ミオンさんの疑いを晴らすために捜査をしている。そうお考えいただきたいのです。
There he is with his silver tongue again, just being really manipulative. He could talk a dog out of a meat truck. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him.
大石さん、ひょっとして俺に用なんですか？
ねえ、そうですよ。前原圭一さん。
He answered in an absent tone of
誰
voice.
かの事件でミオンを疑っていて、その友人の俺に何か聞きに来た。そういうことですか？
いえいえ、違います。私は園崎美音さんの友人と話をしに来たのではなく、前原圭一さんに話をしに来たのです。
See, and now he's trying to like distance Keiichi from his position as Mion's friend. He's trying to like just say like, you're your own person, right? You're not just Mion's friend.
ご自宅にお伺いしたらご迷惑でしたでしょうからね。
俺に警察が何の用だって言うんですか？
Having realized this faked coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
そんなに構えなくて大丈夫ですよ。肩を楽にして。ちょっと。
それって職務質問ってやつですか？
Well, you could always plead the fifth, but I don't know.
偶然知り合ったおじさんとの世間話ってことにしましょう。
Oji-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes, though as sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly unpleasant thought.
ゆうべは渡長市のお祭り、盛大で楽しかったですね。
はぐらかさないでください。今さら世間話なんかされても。
昨日の渡長市の晩、富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
I could plainly feel myself give a start.
あれ、写真はどこに行っちゃったかな？ああ、あったあった。
Okay, so they did find out the identities of the victims then. He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look.
さあ、どうでしょう。あったような、合わなかったような。
I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time too.
あれ？記憶が曖昧ですか？まさかアルコールが入っててよく覚えてないなんてのはなしにしてくださいよ。
Here too, I got the same answer as I had from Mion. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well, although for different reasons. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? The dark feelings I had, nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion, came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was on a tiny impulse. Well, it may not count for much now. I do feel sorry about it.
もう一度起きと。ゆうべのお祭りで富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt.
繰り返し聞かれても、答えはさっきと同じです。
I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, or the courage to admit I had.
そうですか。改めて聞けば、さっきとは違う答えが返ってくるかなと思いましてね。
And again, he says the same thing as Mion. I'm too scared to look Oishi-san in the eyes.
では、質問を変えます。ほら、前原さん、リラックス、リラックス。
Oishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt, though. Still, why? Would he ask the same things as Mion? If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be.
同じく夕べのお祭りなんですが、園崎紫音さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
I think that one we can just say, yeah, we totally ran into her. Yeah, we ran into her in front of everybody, actually. We were going all around all the stands, and she happened to find us in the chaos. I wondered what that sound was, and when I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it.
すみません。あったかもしれないですけど、ほら、ミオンにもそっくりですから、ミオンと見間違えてるかも。
Again, sticking with his story. Which I don't know if that's... Like, sticking with your story is fine and all, but it only works when you have a good story, and that's not a good story.
そんなわけはないでしょう。
Suddenly, Oishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This must be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This is the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare.
ミオンさんもシオンさんも服装は全然違うんですから。
Well, not all the time.
そう簡単に見間違えるはずはありませんよ。前原さん。
His voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Oishi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking into that storehouse so bad? I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomidake-san casually said to check it out too, so... Even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me... No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse.
おいさん、ホタルの光っす。
A young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Oishi-san's subordinate.
ありゃ、本当だ。もう閉館なんですね。
I hadn't realized it until he said something. The jingle and announcements telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it.
じゃあ、前原君、もうこんな時間なんで、私たちは失礼させてもらいます。
Don't give him your number.
このお話は、もっと時間のある時にのんびりといたしましょう。
This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Oishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around.
そうそう、前原さん。
なんですか？
さっきさせてもらった2つの質問ですが、どちらの回答もよく覚えてない。
はい。
参考までに、あなた、昨日全員にお会いしてますよ。4人で楽しそうに歩いてたじゃないですか。石段のところで。私がこの目で見てますから。
I caught my breath, and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew, and he was testing me.
ではまた。良いお年を。
I sat there like a rock, unmoving, until I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of their footsteps. Well then, we're not quite done with this, I don't think. I think we're still going to get a call from Shion. Although that might be in the tips. Okay, never mind. I was on my way back home. The cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I'd thought. The orange of the dusky sky was being chased down little by an indigo color approaching from the east. exhausted from the slow climb toward Hinamizawa, without even noticing I'd gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. No, in fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It really was no more than a quiet prank, no more than having the courage to cross at a red light as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements, hallowed ground, only accessible to the family of a priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside. It didn't make the wrong I had committed any more right. What the four of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do something bad, or something so bad? Really, it doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. It was nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oichi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I won't ever do something like that again either. Unfortunately, it won't be so easy with Oichi being as pushy as he is, and Mion knowing that you did it, and Shion probably causing trouble as well. It's not going to be that simple. I'm sorry. If I apologized like that, would they forgive me? The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment. However, as it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to my head home as soon as possible, or urging me to head home. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, but nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. That might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I've made a decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. Let's hope that your brakes haven't been cut or something. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. Alright, well, he made it home. That's good, at least. Small victories. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called me from downstairs. Probably the phone. It could be Shion, but he might actually get a call from Mion instead, so... Sonozaki. Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She had something she wanted to tell me today. Oichi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight, but you should still... you shouldn't say, hey, Shion, what do you want to tell me? As soon as you pick up the phone, you should say something like, oh, hey, is this, Mion? Shion? Anybody? I don't know.
もしもし、シオンか。
どうも、今日は災難でしたね。
She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
そんなこと言わないでください。私、ケイちゃんに一緒に逃げようってサインを送ったじゃないですか。なのにケイちゃん、ボサーっと残っちゃって。
ボサーってことはないだろう。シオンがあっという間に置いてきぼりにしたんで。あの後、俺は大石のおっさんにたっぷり。
そんなの、私に愚痴られても困ります。
I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this different. I got a little irritated at myself when I realized I was somewhere in my mind hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person.
ああ、悪かったよ。次からはシオンを置いてくぐらいのつもりで、真っ先に逃げ出すようにする。
できればレディーファーストでお願いします。
Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be.
俺に何か話があるんだろ？
はい。もしも、もう知ってるなら、改めて言うような話じゃないんです。知ってますか
Shion lowered her voices suddenly, as if she were glancing around. Or her voice. I had no idea what I could already know. I'm guessing she's gonna ask him if he already knows about Takano and Tomitake, who I guess are also the victims this time.
悪いけど、何のことかさっぱりわからないぞ。ヒントくらい出せ。
ってことは、知らないみたいですね。
She seemed to take my stupid-sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest.
実は、昨日の綿流しのお祭りの晩なんですけど。
My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing? No, she wouldn't. Did you see Tomitake last night? Did you see Shion? That wouldn't make any sense coming from her mouth.
もしもし、ケイちゃん、聞いてます？
ああ、聞いてる。昨日の晩どうしたんだよ。
私たち4人、入ったじゃないですか。
She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that was the actual honest truth, and I couldn't act like it hadn't happened. So this could also be Mion pretending to be Shion, though, so he has to be careful of that, but unfortunately I don't think that's even something that he could deny, or he could even, like, pretend.
それでその後、みんなで歩いて、石段のあたりで私たちみんな別れましたよね。高野さんたちは沢に行って、ケイちゃんはその場に残って、私は親類の人たちのところに行っちゃって。
ああ、それがどうした？
お互い質問の返し合いになっちゃうと拉致が開かないんで、いいですか？
ゆうべ、富武さんと高野さんに会いませんでしたか？
え？はい。あの後、あの二人には会いましたか？
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on?
どうしてだよ。だからどうしてそれを俺に聞くんだよ。
ほらほら、ケイちゃん、質問は私からのはずです。答えてください。
シオンはあったのか？シオンが先に答えたら俺も答える。
My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that had happened today. Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth, with that response, she finally answered
もち
me.
ろん、会ってません。一緒にいた親類が証明できます。
They can vouch for that, but they can't be trusted to vouch for that, so...
俺だって会ってない。証明って言うなら、ミオンとかレナとかみんながしてくれる。
Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else.
正直に答えてくれて、じゃあ、言いますね。ゆうべ、高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。
ごめん、シオン。今、なんて言った？
ゆうべ、高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。高野さんは焼死体で、富武さんは自殺みたいな感じで。
The same thing again. Interesting, so they probably gave them the same drug as in the first murder. Which means that, as much as I thought that we were done with that, we're not done with it at all. We're gonna get more things to think about with that.
今朝知ったんです。お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて。
Late last night, a police car on its way back from the festival security duty had discovered Tomitake-san lying in the middle of the road, heading towards Okinomiya. Same place as before, huh? He had clawed out his throat and died.
なんだよ。あの明るそうな富武さんが自殺？何かの間違いだろ？
警察がちゃんと検視したんです。自分の爪でガリガリと喉をかきむしって血管を破いて血をドバドバ出して自分の血で溺れ死んだんだって。
そんなバカな自殺聞いたことないぞ。自分の喉をかき破るなんておかしすぎる。
Also, like, are his parents, like, nearby as he's saying this stuff? Because he's not talking in his room right now. He's talking just in the open, where his parents could easily hear him. I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the voice I was putting into my... the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my own room. Here's where Rana ends up listening in on him again, just straight from the doorway. Although, I highly doubt that. I feel like somebody has to be eavesdropping on his actual phone conversations from start to finish. Like, they have to be, like, tapping into the radio or the wireless. I don't know, something like that. We'll see.
大声出してごめん。で、高野さんも自殺なのか？
高野さんは自殺かどうかちょっと。
Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. Employees at a rest stop nearby reported to the police late that night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after there was a request for a dental comparison from the XX Prefectural Police Station in Okinomiya. I don't know why they keep, like, obfuscating the name of the prefecture when they've said it before. And the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide since she was in her undergarments, and her clothes were nowhere in the area.
灯油缶が転がってたそうなんで、焼身自殺の線もあるそうです。
自殺なわけあるものか。同じ死ぬならもっと楽な方法がいくらでもあるだろう。こんなの絶対に自殺なものか。
私だってそう思ってます。富武さんのだって自殺だなんて考えられない。
After the two of us rattled on at each other, there was silence as we paused to catch our breaths. And as we calmed our nerves, right then I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
お社様のたたりってことになると思います。私たち語られるのに十分な資格がありますから。
資格って冗談じゃないぞ。別に俺は。
Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault and there's no one else's.
お前は昨夜、細工殿の中に忍び込んだら、こうなるかもしれないと予想はついてたのか？
まさか、そりゃ多少はやばいとは思いましたけど、こんなことになるなんて夢にも思いませんでした。
Shion's words were probably her true feelings, although I don't know. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. Like, this would not be the first time that she's been through something like this. This was clearly, like, she knows what happens. She's been to previous festivals, right? So I don't think that this is, like, new to her in any way. It was the same for me.
よりもケイちゃん、ちょっとよく考えてください。
Yeah, Mio didn't disappear. They found her. And I guess that gives us the, like, possibility that maybe all the other quote-unquote disappeared bodies were actually, just spread around in some other prefecture, but I don't know. It was already plenty strange seeing as how Tomitake-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger? Well, actually, no, it's not. Because, well, it's the first time two people have been found dead on the night of the Watanagashi, but in the case of the... what was it? The housewife beat-down murder or whatever. There was the housewife who they did find the body of, and it was Satoshi who disappeared, but the perpetrator, the person who was arrested for beating or battering the housewife, that guy did die. He died in prison, so it's not the only time, but it is the only time where it happened, like, all on the same day anyway.
確かにそうかもしれないけど、そんなのは大した問題じゃないだろう。
いいえ、ケイちゃん、もっと真剣に考えてください。いいですか？二人の死がお社様のたたりということ、お社様の怒りを鎮めるための生贄もまた二人分必要なはずなんです。
I guess that's one way of looking at it. So they're saying that two people need to disappear now?
そういう理屈になるのか？じゃあなんだよ。富武さんと高野さんが死んだ陰で、今年は二人が行方不明になってるってのか？
I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine
まだ
freeze.
誰も行方不明になってないと思います。多分、二人が失踪するのはこれからじゃないかと思うんです。
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down on her back. So, those two have a huge target painted on their heads, unfortunately. But it seems like Neon is, at least trying to put in a good word for Keiji. I don't know if she's gonna do that in a half-hearted way or what, but I don't think she wants them to sacrifice him.
これから二人が失踪する。
Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart, cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomitake-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse and she died. If two more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them, none other than
ま
us.
さか冗談だろ。
I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke, even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Tomitake-san and Takano-san had died in a common way, like a car accident, I could tell myself it was a coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat, and she burned to death, drowned in oil in the mountains. The two deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued knowing I was running away.
大地、そんなの新聞に出てないぞ。そんなに奇怪な事件なら絶対に新聞やテレビで報道するはずだろう。雑誌記者とかだって面白がって大勢来るに決まってる。
well, we know that that's not something that would happen, because the Sonozakis have already made sure that this would all be resolved hush-hush this year.
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
When the incidents occurred for the third year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would devolve into a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
村長とか、あと園崎家出身の金バッジが警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
じゃあつまり二人の死は秘密裏に処理されてしまったということか。
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
The story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret.
もっと噛み砕いて言うと、綿流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな話があってたまるか。
ケイちゃん、私以前にお社様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いました。つまりそういうことなんです。このひなみ沢では毎年綿流しの夜にお社様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
When someone dies on the night of the Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashiro-sama. The curse turns into these serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exacerbating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret.
毎年死者と行方不明者が出るんだろう。いくらマイナスイメージって言ったって警察にも限度があるだろう。
毎年の事件が不可解って言うなら警察も本腰を入れられるんでしょうけど、何しろ毎年の事件は個別に解決してますので連続事件という形にならないんですよ。たまたま毎年綿流しの晩に不幸なことが起こる、それだけのことに。
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get and stay away, but the events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was in essence resolved. The dam-supporting couple who died in an accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. It concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the dam-supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while imprisoned, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved.
なのになぜか毎年綿流しの晩に不幸な偶然が起こる。連続事件にしたくても連続にならないんです。それでも毎年必ず誰かが死んで誰かが消えていく。
The story Takano-san told me here, or told me on the day before during the setup. Now that the curse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off.
じゃあ俺たちも狙われるっていうのか。毎年一人死ぬと一人が消えるように富武さんや高野さんの道連れに消えさせられるっていうのかよ。
My lips had at some point become completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give
俺た
me.
ちそりゃ確かに入っちゃいけないところだったかもしれないが、見ただけだぜ。何かを盗んだり持ち出したり、見たことを誰かに喋ったわけじゃないんだぜ。
I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomitake-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel
第
deaths?
一、俺はあんなの見ても全然面白くなかったし、高野さんが見て一人で大喜びしてただけだろ。悪いのは高野さんだけだよ。俺は全然関係ないぜ。興味もないし関係ないし、あの中にあったものだって知ったことじゃない。
I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam and I couldn't stop them anymore.
もともと興味なんか全然なかったんだ。イカちゃんの演舞を見ていたかっただけなんだ。それをシオンが勝手に連れ出したんじゃないか。あの二人が泥棒しようが何しようが知ったことじゃない。そうだよ。そもそもシオンが中に入ろうって言い出したんだ。ケイちゃんは見ておく必要があるとかなんとか思わせぶりなことを言って中に引き込んだんだ。どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ。どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いて。
Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of a receiver being slammed down. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled-up emotions disappeared as if they'd never existed, and in their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okinomiya. I didn't know her phone number. I mean, I guess this is before the days where everybody knew you could just call a certain number. I think it's star 69, but I don't know. But you should be able to, or call the operator or whatever, and you should be able to just redial the number that called you. But that's not like common knowledge at this point in time, I guess. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand, and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion, calm down and call me again. Now, if he says Shion, like, hurriedly, and it turns out to actually be Mion, then that's going to be a problem. I swept up the receiver as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at that exact moment. Is this the Maibara residence? Excuse me for the late call. It's something for his parents. I'm Kimiyoshi. Uh-oh. Is this the head of the household? It was the voice of a middle-aged man. All my hopes rushed out of me. I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly. Oh, Kimiyoshi is definitely deep in this, so I think that he's gonna want to ask us some questions. Oh, no. If he's busy, then that's fine. This may be a strange question, but is my old man paying you a visit? So his old man, like Kimiyoshi, the middle-aged man, must have a father. Pretty sure that was the old man who was bedridden, who showed up at the Watanagashi, because that's like the only time he ever leaves bed or something. They mentioned that. They went out of their way to mention that. I see. Again, I apologize for calling you out so late. Goodbye. Clack. I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keiji Maibara. These are the selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought that Shion had given up hope in the short time since we had our conversation, and didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiji Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. Yeah, I don't know necessarily what she was thinking, but she might have just been thinking, like, okay, he's clearly too emotional right now, I just need to hang up and let him deal with this. Or she might have been, I don't know, she might have actually been a bit distraught and everything, just like Keiji thought. Because as much as I dislike Shion, and I think that she's pretty manipulative, I'm not 100% convinced that she's, like, straight up evil yet. Like, I think that she has a mean streak, and that's definitely been shown. Like, she doesn't care about Mion's feelings and stuff, but I don't think that that necessarily means that she's in on all this, and I think that she could actually be, like, a good person deep down. I don't know. But anyway, we'll worry about that next time. So until then, take care, and I will see you then.